All right. Welcome to One Leg Up, where we discuss how you can deliver the very best customer experience and how you can achieve zero marketing waste. I'm Vic Sun. I'm the mastermind here at One Leg. Today, I have two very special guests joining me again. I've got Stephen White and Casey Urias. Did I pronounce that correctly? Casey?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course,
Good.
I'm going to say yes.
All right. Well, if I didn't, please tell me how to pronounce it. Is it Urias?
It could be Urias or it could be Urias.
Urias. Okay, I like the Urias better. Rolls off the tongue a little bit smoother. And both of these two really great people are tech alchemists on our technology team. Casey, Steven, how are you guys doing today?
I'm doing
great.
fantastic, other than half of California is on fire right now.
It's every day for us here in
that,
California.
That is every day in California.
Yeah,
But
it's a look out the window. Is it fog or is it smoke experience?
Yeah, and I know we're trucking along and doing our best. I'm glad that you both are here, and I think due to overwhelming demand, we've been hit up by several companies for more information, right? And so generally, again, we're technology agnostic, but a number of our home improvement clients use Lead Perfection and Five9, right? Both as a CRM and as a dialer. And today we want to have like a part two, and I think we're going to create a series of this as the premier experts on Lead Perfection and Five9 in this industry. And we want to be able to discuss, some of these features that people are really having a hard time figuring out, or the industry at large, or a lot of the things that they're overlooking, and therefore they're likely missing some of these system efficiencies and how to make it effective when they start deploying them. So let's start off with you, Casey. I'm going to throw it over to you. What do you today, I'm sure you've prepared for something, but what is that one feature today that, companies are overlooking?
Yeah, actually, the feature I want to discuss today is the to-do list. And this feature eluded me for several years. I've been on Lead Perfection a while, and I had no idea that this feature existed, and it's really, really fantastic.
Okay, and we know that a lot of companies, know about this, but do not use it, or do not use it the way that makes it, a maximum super efficient way of communicating with both their teams, their clients, internally and externally. So let's start off with, the front end of things. Can you give examples of how, you've been able to utilize it and how you've been able to basically, crack this little Easter egg, for some companies who aren't using it or maybe haven't been using on the front end of things, before a sale takes place?
Yeah. So one of the things that people I've noticed have used it for, our clients have used it for in the past, is the reps on their team. Sometimes they do need additional training. And rather than go into a full training session, the to-do list can be a very quick review that is directly on the CRM. So a lot of people are used to getting to-do lists that are on a different platform than their CRM. That's what makes this one so special, is you can assign those to-do tasks directly to the lead that they pertain to. So maybe you have a new rep that's coming in. They're struggling to keep up with their customer. Maybe they're not looking at the information correctly on the lead. You can attach that to-do task to the lead directly, which is great, because then all they do is they click on it and they go right there and they can immediately start on that task. And it also gives you notifications when they are working on it and when it's complete, just like any other to-do list.
Okay, perfect. So essentially it sounds like, it's like a virtual Post-it, these yellow Post-it, but it's virtual, and you get to remind or assign tasks to people to be able to complete. That's very specific to a lead record, and it tracks when that is being completed, or when it's being worked on, and you can go ahead and utilize that instead of like manual emails or text
Yes, that's
messages.
correct. And what's great is it appears right on the dashboard for most people. So it'll say, okay, these are your to-do lists, and it's counting down. It's like, this one's going to be coming up really soon. You better take care of it. And then they have another list. It's like, all right, these to-dos are past due, or there's been a lot of time that's passed between this time, and it also connects to the employee's email address. So not only when they're working on their CRM are they getting those reminders, but they also can be getting the reminders through email. So if they say they didn't see it, I don't know where they're looking.
Right. So it sounds like it's a really useful tool for team collaboration, communication. We get a lot of requests for automation, but this is, some form of automation, but it requires really that team effort. I see a lot of call centers, and you guys have been working with quite a few of them where, they're really too reliant on automation. And some of these very simple nudges really bring about, conversion rates that are so much more higher than if you were to just rely on automation. I think what I really like about a to-do task, and we'll have a little clip of this where we can show an example and how that workflow takes place, right? So that our audience can, for those of ones who actually want to see how we've been able to customize that for and train people on how to use it works, right? But I really like the idea of training and using this as well, like you brought out. It's like, okay, well, my call center agent's not very good at being able to go and provide the value of the visit or these particular elements, or maybe sending the client an email with a link to somewhere. You can always, as a manager or as an admin, go, hey, do this. And can teams actually do this as well, where maybe I'm going to be out of the office and I am the call center agent in the morning, and I spoke to this client, but they said, hey, call me in the evening. And can I go ahead and assign that to the evening shift agent, my counterpart? Can I do that?
Of course. You can assign it to individuals, or you can assign it to a team. So anybody who is in that call center group or who is in that sales group, it goes out to that whole team on a sort of group to-do list. And it doesn't feel as abrasive as saying, oh man, now I have to sit through a training session. It's like, oh, my manager assigned me a task. Okay, I better get that task completed. It's just a much quicker, more effective, interactive way for your rep to get better at whatever you've assigned them.
And can you actually send them links as well, like a Loom video, for example, like a link to a Loom video and say, watch this so that I can explain to you what's going on with this client? Is that possible, Casey?
Yeah, it's not only Loom videos. You can also attach screenshots, images. What's great about Lead Perfection is it is very, very forgiving when it comes to putting in external sources. So anything that you want to include in that message, yes, absolutely, you can do that.
Okay, all right, great. So that's covering the front end of things, marketing. Let's talk about sales for a minute. Right. And what have you done in the past for clients where this to-do task, these to-do lists have been useful? Just give one really good example that most clients do not do. And then when they've done it, they've seen a lift in whether it's sales efficiencies or effectiveness in their communication.
Yes. So we had one client who their biggest thing that they kept bringing up over and over and over again is, my team cannot remember to go get the permits that they need, and they drive all the way to the customer's house and they don't have the necessary paperwork. The to-do list can help that team member remember to do that. In fact, I mean, if I was the manager, every single time I would be having my team go out to a customer's home and a permit is needed, I would just use the to-do list every time, because it's something that's really easy to set up, but it's something that you can repeat. So it helps keep track of all of the customer's paperwork. And it also makes sure that when they arrive at the home that they are prepared.
Yeah, so it sounds like you could use it as a checklist of some sort, but also it really, the way that you phrase it, what I like about that is that it sounds like you've cultivated it for the particular user. Salespeople, installers, they're out in the field. They don't have time to be in front of a desktop, like searching for things. And, they're out there with their tablets or their mobile devices. And that to-do task being assigned to them simply creates that, really, really easy nudge, because it's not only on an email, but it's also from within the platform that they're working.
Yeah, and within the platform also means the Salesman app, if they're utilizing that, those to-do tasks will also pop up on that app. So if they're on the go, they can easily see what they need to complete.
Perfect. So it's really on an omni-channel level between emails, I think we're working on custom texts, right, for nudges, but that's something custom that we can, we've customized. It's not out of the box and it's not easy to do on your own. But at least the emails, you've got the nudges on the mobile app, the Salesman app, and you've got the ability to go and log in through any browser, really, whether it's through your mobile device, your tablet, or your laptop or your desktop. Thank you, Case. So we'll pop in some videos or some small little place where we can show both of those, and you'll be able to see that on these videos. And actually, later on, you can hit us up for some of those links, and we'll post them on our LinkedIn account, Facebook, and everywhere else where you can find us. Let's go to Steven. Steven, let's talk about Five9 because I think we were inundated with a lot of Five9 questions. A lot of companies with big call centers were like, okay, so what can you do with Five9? We're having these issues. So let's start with one, because I think we're going to have a series of these podcasts over the next couple of weeks or months. What's that one thing you want to talk about today that you felt over the last three conversations you've had with other companies, this was the biggest ask or the thing that they couldn't figure out?
Yeah, and thanks for bringing it over to me. I've been dying to get this out. What is most important, I think, to a call center is the conversion time. If you have somebody that's sitting, waiting to be contacted after submitting their information, maybe they missed that first phone call. What a lot of call centers are seeing is it's difficult to have that follow-up, especially on the first day using Lead Perfection and Five9. It's just the way that it's set up, it's difficult to do that second follow-up call within a day, and people try to circumvent it in different ways, but I think I've finally clocked the right solution to it.
Okay, and so you talked about a couple of things there, but it sounds like you've got the speed in which you communicate to someone who's provided their information, namely their phone number and their information, so you can call them, and how you can connect with them quickly. And then the other part was, well, once you've connected with them, if you don't get a hold of them, for example, like you do, because you get leads through all parts of the day, the system doesn't seem to refresh or allow for you to go and control that, so you can call them a few other times. Is that it? Is that like the big issue there?
Yeah. I think you hit it on the head. One of the tools that's available is this thing called the ASAP list. It's pretty much just I don't want to go too detailed on it, but as soon as a lead comes into Lead Perfection, it's fired off into Five9 and it gets that quick first phone call. The problem is the way that list works is it limits since that list doesn't refresh every day, and sometimes people do have it, so it's tied into Lead Perfection. It constantly piles and piles and piles and piles until that list is just untouchable. You've got this list of 5,000 numbers. Some people do go in every evening and try to reset it manually, but it's just a long process. Some people have multiple phone calls go out in a day, something that we in the industry like to call double tapping your lead, or maybe they just write it down on a Post-it on their desk and then try to remember to call it later in the day, or they forget. There's just too many factors. We try to make this as seamless as possible, and we figured out a way to make it so that this is an automatic, easy way to improve your call center's ability to contact people on that first day.
Right. Yeah. So it's not only important to be able to get back to your clients on a timely fashion, right? Because they're moving on to somebody else. If you're not reaching out to them, a lot of homeowners, do get several bids or want to get several perspectives from different companies. But it sounds like the general crutch of this, which is, I think, a major problem for a lot of companies, is that once, especially when you get a lot of inbound leads, they go through it once, and then there's no way that they're able to do it, or they don't know how to program their lists so that these new ones get prioritized, and if you don't reach them, you're able to automatically, send them to the right agents over a period of time, or trigger rule, like maybe call them back in 2 hours or in 4 hours again. And with that, sending them a text message and email. And I think from what it sounds like, it's just piling up. And a lot of companies are basically having to do a lot of manual work to try to get through that same list that they didn't get a hold of. And those are the newest ones. And every day that just kind of becomes, it just compounds every day when you don't fix that automation. So, what do you think is what makes it so difficult to do that? I mean, if it's Five9 Lead Perfection, there's a lot of users for for Five9 and Lead Perfection. What's making that so difficult where people just kind of live with manually doing it for years?
Well, to get down into it, it's trying to navigate the labyrinth of resources that Five9 has available, or they say they have available. If you're at all familiar with contacting Five9 support, it's a long and arduous process. If you need to book yourself out for the entire morning just to have a conversation with one of the representatives and communicate your problem to somebody that more than likely has not experienced the problem you're experiencing, they've never heard of Lead Perfection, or maybe a combination of both. They just don't know how to solve these problems, and in order to explain the problem and then follow up to solve that problem is you're looking at an entire day's worth of work just to get that one issue out of the way. And after you've done that, maybe they haven't even solved the problem, or they're not familiar enough with your system or the combination of Lead Perfection and Five9 that their solution has caused 2 or 3 more problems. And that's just, I mean, if you want to run an efficient call center while using Lead Perfection, you just don't have time to experiment, or else you're going to run into, like I mentioned, a couple more problems. You know, when I've experienced that before myself, and I've talked to owners that have had that experience. And at the end of the day, you're pulling out your hair, as you can see.
Right. Well, let's be honest. That pulling out your hair wasn't part of this, but I get your figure of speech.
Right.
So I think part of this, what's fun about this is really kind of the struggle. It sounds like you've put together this, this really nice story of and a collage of your experiences where companies have just gotten to a point where there's, our call center manager is very, very busy. We're busy. We've got a lot of leads. We don't have time, meddling with this thing, breaking things, trying to fix it, spending hours at a time. But they kind of live with it because they've never really had a company like us come up and say, we can actually do this for you, and you pay us because we've already had the experience and the time. But I think one of the things that also stand out, which is a big issue, is that there really isn't a one silver bullet solution that you use for this, because we'd really seen it where some call centers have these rules versus another call center that have a different set of rules, right? Some call centers want their inbound leads or all these web forms to be called every hour, while some call centers, we've seen that's pretty bad, just pretty terrible customer experience. But some call centers are like, well, I want some very complex rule where if I leave them a message and I send them a text, if they respond to the text, don't call them. And this is where you come in and you go and say, let me find out what your customer journey looks like, and then let me go ahead and fix this problem to align with your internal process.
Right.
And I think that's really the value of having, a collaboration with somebody like you, or at least, having an ally, to do all that additional work while your business continues to run. Right. And of course, if something goes wrong, we blame you. So how often, by the way, do you encounter these tests, or when you start trying to fix things, it doesn't go the right way? And what do you do when that happens? Because this is very, don't get into I don't want you get into technical stuff too much, but, you do the testing and it's like, oops, something broke. Like, when do you do them and how do you fix that?
Well, when it comes to testing, one of the features of testing is breaking, and also just communicating what you're testing on so that all the players involved can be aware that there may be a break along the way. And when they do run into the break, they're like, I know where the break came from. It's easily fixed. Usually it only takes a few minutes just to revert back to a previous iteration of, be it settings or one way that we had in the past, maybe we're calling somebody more than once that probably shouldn't be called more than once. It's just a quick fix to get it back into place. But we keep the communication really tight, so when the breaks do come about, when everyone's aware, and we can clean up the mess very quickly.
And of course, there's an advantage of being in the West Coast, because we're usually 3 hours behind. So by the time you do the testing later in the day or in the evening, everybody's asleep.
Right. That as well. Also, off hours are, no one wants to call from 7 to 8 or 8 to 9, but legally we can. So make a few calls after hours, very possible. I even wake up sometimes super early. I don't mind making up at 4 a.m. to do some calls. But but that's just
To
me.
test out, when you test out some of the systems you work on.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, again, we'll pop in some sample links to that, and as well to show people look, this is potentially something that could work. But I do want to caution our audience that a lot of these use cases are bespoke to each company, because when you talking about systems, a lot of the times owners don't really even care about what we've just discussed, like you're breaking the system. They just want to know you're fixing it. You fix it. I don't care whether you break it. Just make sure you fix it by the time we're using it. And that is the advantage of having companies do it for you, or an agency like us do it for you, as opposed to you tinkering with it and then breaking it yourself. And then now your whole business is kind of, has been disabled, right, by this particular thing. And of course, there's a lot of time involved, right, trying to solve these particular issues. So, we've run out of time. That we talked about, really two very key things. We'll pop in on the links and on the description, what we've discussed today. Really, really thank both of you guys for spending your time and sharing your knowledge here. That's it for us for today. We hope that you've enjoyed our chat and learned a couple of things. And as always, we here at One Leg, we believe poor marketing pollutes the planet, right? And poor systems do that also. And that business is full of tired and outdated, indistinct, unremarkable, and underperforming, marketing and technology that sucks. But what sucks even more is that many companies have forgotten the most important thing of all, and that's the customer. So we're on a mission on behalf of our clients as customers to change that. To learn more, go to zeromarketingwaste.com, where you can subscribe to our blog and this very podcast. And of course, you can find us and follow us by looking for Mingo, our flamingo, and the One Leg handle wherever you socialize online. Take care. We'll chat with you guys very soon. See you next week.